You know, so easy to get it. And I was also falling into like, you know, bisexuality, and I was doing things with that guy's mom. And
Wow.
yeah, it was a mess. Him, his mom, like it was wild. And I was also dealing with like real demonic
I
spiritual
bet.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like um, a lot of people talk about sleep paralysis and stuff like that. I dealt with that growing up, and everywhere I went, it felt like that specific demon or whatever
Just
would follow
following you.
me. Literally would
Yeah.
follow me to every place I've ever gone to. And I remember like having this brand new baby on the bed, and I'm like laying down and I'm trying to sleep, and I feel the blanket from my toes beginning to get skin tight. The whole thing was getting so tight all the way up to my throat. And that happened, that was like an every night occurrence. Yeah, it was like choke, can't breathe, nightmares, can't get out of it, had to wait till that thing was done, and when it was done I could breathe again.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then I just remember like looking at my daughter like, oh my gosh, like,
And what have I brought you into?
yeah, like I can't even take care of you. I'm high half the time. Like if something were to happen to you, I don't even know, like, can I help you, you know? Like I'm dealing with these like demonic attacks that are literally like choking me out in the night. Like I can't help you, you know? And so I end up like going back to my mom's at some point. It's 15. So 16, I'm still with this guy. 17 years old is when I finally moved back in with my mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how was the reception when you came back? She was just so happy for you to be back, or
I think she was, but everyone at this point in my life,
had given up on
everyone,
you?
yeah, everyone is, yeah, it's more like, oh, look what the cat dragged in again,
Uh
you
huh.
know? I think that my mom, though, really did have high hopes for me. You know, she wished the best for me. She would pray, man. She would cry so much and pray and ask churches for help. You know, there was a time that my mom shared with me that she's, it was a Thursday night prayer service that the church I first attended that she ended up going to when I was 8 years old. Um, you know, she would go there and they would have a prayer service. And what would, you know, if anyone had prayer requests, and my mom every Thursday would have the same prayer request. And it got to a point where they're like, look, we're not doing that anymore.
Really? See,
Hmm.
like they was like, oh, we already know what this is gonna be, so we
No,
continually
it
pray
was more
for it.
like, we can't keep praying for your daughter.
Wow.
And my mom was crushed. And, you know, there was a time where she was just on her knees in the house, and she said she was praying and she was crying out to God. And she was just like, I don't know what to do. And she said that God gave her this crazy peace and was like, look, just know that I have your daughter in the palm of my hand, but she needs to go through what she's going to go through to become who she's going to become.
Wow.
And that for me was like, whoa. When she told me that, I was like, whoa. So
So, so how'd you come to the Lord? That's what. That's the. So what age?
so I always knew of him, right? I was
Uh-huh.
8 years old, first experience
Yeah.
that, had, you know, went back to the streets, in and out, back into the streets. Age of 14,
Uh huh.
supernatural encounter with the Lord. He
Yep.
literally knew all my business. You
Uh huh.
know, I knew that he was real and I wasn't alone. He set me free, back to the streets.
Yep.
Um, 15, 16, 17, still streets, wilding out,
Uh huh.
drugs, women, men, whoever. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't mind. And go back to my mom, 17 years old. I'm still actually, even at 17, my mom just took my daughter away and took her away from me because I showed up and I looked like your usual druggie,
Uh
like
huh.
super thin, like, and I was still wilding out in the streets. It wasn't till, oh my gosh, really? Let's see. That's a really good question because I would show up periodically at that church that I had first went
Uh
to
huh.
that my mom was still going
Yeah.
to every once in a while. And I mean, they already knew too. They're like, oh, don't get your hopes up with that one,
Yeah.
you know. But I would be there on Sundays sometimes. But I would still go back to the streets,
Uh huh.
show up for church, go back to the streets. But while I was there, I would literally have these moments where I'm like, man, God, like I need you, you
Mhm.
know, like I need you. I don't know what this is. I you know, I'm desperate. I started being like, I'm just desperate for you, but I kept going back into the same cycle, into the same trash, you know, and that all that trash, long story short, did not stop until 2013. And at this point, 2013, like I have been in and out of church now, even as an adult, like in my 20s, I'm in and out of church, going back and forth from the party. Now I'm a huge party girl. You know, now I'm in the clubs, like, you know.
So it's around 27 years old. Because I was 29 in 2013. So from 17 to 27, whole nother decade. Wow.
Still a hot mess. But this time I'm getting closer and closer, you know, like God's trying to pull me in, like, girl, listen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I keep doing these things. I had my first abortion. It was forced into that. Second abortion, third abortion, fourth abortion.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just want to touch on that for your viewers to hear, because abortion is murder. And a lot of the times you go to these Planned Parenthoods, which I did, and they are so wicked. They are so wicked in there. It's cold. It's literally cold in there. Like, not only is everyone cold-hearted, but you just feel like this coldness in that place. Like, there's you don't feel love at all. And the first abortion that I experienced, like, I knew it was murder. So I was having a really hard time with that. But the guy I was with and his family's like, they were a little on the racist side, and they're like, we're not letting no Hispanic girl, like, Hispanic girls, all they're good for is popping kids, you know.
It was a white family?
Yeah.
Okay.
White family. And they're like, you know, and he would even say it too, I don't want no spick, like, raising my kids or blah, blah, blah. You need to have an abortion. Like, I don't want anything from me coming out of you. Like, you're uneducated, you're stupid, like, you're a lowlife. Like, literally, like, what do you have to offer? He would tell me that, like, you have nothing going for you. You have no education. Like, all you could do is have kids. Like, I don't want that with you.
Wow.
So it was really tough, and I went there, and his family was paying for it. And you have an option too. So there's two. There's surgical abortion, and then there's medical abortion. A surgical abortion is when they literally just put you on that table, and they go in with, like, supplies, and they're cutting up babies inside of you and just vacuuming it out.
Because a lot of people don't really understand what abortion is.
Oh, like, but they're going to learn today.
Yeah.
Because that's very near and dear to my heart now. The Lord, like, I'll get there. Just wait. And then the medical abortion are the pills. So they give you a pill there that they don't say it'll stop the baby's heart or anything like that, because they want to be careful what they say to keep you in this mindset. Like, it's really just nothing. It's just a clump of cells that are forming. So if you take this pill, it'll just stop that process. And then when you go home, they give you 4 pills. You put 2 here, you put 2 here, and you're not allowed to swallow the pills or anything. You let them dissolve in your mouth, and they're like, and then at that point, your body will just expel whatever's there, and you'll be fine. Wow. You know, that's pretty much how they say
Dehumanize.
it. Yeah. They mention no life, nothing. It's just like that. And then everything's great, and you get to move on with your life, and you'll be happy that you did it, because you don't need this trauma in your life right now, you know? So I show up there. Oh, and then for the surgical abortion, if you pay more, they'll numb you. But if you ain't got the money to pay to be numbed, then you're going to feel everything. So his family did not pay for me to be numbed.
Ooh.
So I'm already, like, kind of freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh. But for some reason, I don't know if it's my whole life, like, being told what to do by men and being shut up, you know, pushed down, and like, we're going to do this to you. So I feel like I kind of allowed him to be like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have this abortion, and we're paying for it, and you need to shut up, you know, and just do what I said. So I'm sitting there, and I am crying. Everyone in that place knows that I do not want to do this. Everyone there. You think somebody would have the heart to, you know, but instead they had the heart to be like, can I help you? And I'm just like, yes. And I go in this closed room. They literally closed the room, and it's supposed to be a counselor. That's literally what they're called in there, a counselor. So I'm sitting there with this woman, and she's like, I understand, but you have to do this. It is the only way that you are going to overcome these feelings and this trauma that you're going through. Do you really think that bringing this baby into the world, or they don't say baby, bringing this situation into the world is going to help? No, you have to take care of this situation now that you're here. This is the best thing for you, I promise you. And then I feel like they're so evil, because, like, she asked me a bunch of questions beforehand, like, hey, so, you know, what was your life like, blah, 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 what's going on, who's this guy, like, how many kids, blah, blah, and literally turned it all around and made it that she went through the exact same stuff. She was like, I've been there before. I know what it's like. I have a kid too. You trust me, like, blah, 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 blah. She literally used my own story on me.
That's crazy.
I went through that. Trust me. This is the best thing you can do for yourself. get rid of this situation. Tomorrow is going to be a new day. You guys will take care of everything. Like all that stuff. Evil, evil. I heard a knock at the door. She didn't open it. It was so bizarre. She did not open that door. Even though the person kept knocking, she would not open it. And then took me another way out. The other way out took me to the table. I am crying. It is cold. Everyone knows I don't want to do this. All the adults know I don't want to do this. Like everyone knows. I'm laying on this table. It's cold. Literally, the table's cold. I feel like I'm just like a meat thrown on a cold slab. The lady, the counselor, is holding my hand, wiping my tears as I'm crying. The doctor walks in with the nurse, and I'm telling you, they are so like nonchalant. I'm literally laying here like a girl's crying, and they're like, "Yeah, Betty, so what did you have to eat today?" "Oh, really? Oh my gosh, really? I had the Cobb salad. It was so good, Betty, so good. Like, spread your legs. Yeah, so the Cobb salad." I'm like, like dumbfounded. I am crying. I don't want to do this. I've let you all of you know I don't want to do this. And yet everyone's still like, you have to do this. You have to do this. And so I'm there, and in this moment, literally, it feels like they it's going to be a little graphic, but they open you up, right? And they go in there, and I can't see what's happening, but I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like they clamped onto baby uterus. They clamped onto something. And I feels like there's a thing in here like this, inside of me like this. There's a pole that's like sticking out, and it had like I just remember the sound. Like they were holding this, and then it went like click, 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 click. And as it was going, remember there's a clamp here. So as it's going click, 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 and then that part pulls. And so I'm like, oh my, I'm like freaking out. And they're like, "It's almost done, you're okay. Yeah, so Betty, blah, blah, click, click, click." And I just feel this like being ripped, literally ripped out of me. That's what it felt like just ripping my guts out of me, ripping this precious life out of me, you know? And then it was done. And they're like, they sit you up, they pop you with some pills, send you to another room, and you sit there on a recliner with a room filled with women that are all sitting there. Everyone's on like these drugs that they give you, little IV just in case something happens. They go check you, you know, you're gonna bleed out for like 2 months, you're gonna have blood clots, you're gonna have this, you're gonna have that, but it's perfectly normal. You did the best decision you could ever make in your life. You should be proud of yourself right now. Be proud of yourself. Yeah, literally, hype you up. Be proud of yourself. This was the best thing that you did.
So sad.
Yeah. After that, I feel like I completely went numb to that. I completely lost it. And I do believe like the more that you dabble in sin, the more you become cold-hearted towards that. The more, after that, I feel like I really lost it. Like I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about nothing. Like don't even talk to me. Like I don't even care. I'm so cold-hearted. I'm so numb. Like my heart just grew cold. And then the guy's like, "Dude, what happened? I decided last minute that I wanted the baby. I was knocking at the door.
That's what.
Why didn't you open it?" And that killed me even more, bro. That to me, like, I started crying so hard in that car, so hard, because he knew I didn't want to do that. I already had Kayla, and yeah, like, you know, I already had my baby, and I'm like, yeah, my mom took her from me, and we had this in and out, but I finally got her back, and I was doing better. I was kind of more in a better headspace. I wasn't on drugs. Yeah, I was drinking and became a party girl, but I felt like I could have done this. You know, that was a life I could have had. That baby, I could have did it. And I'm like, we could do it. I would tell him, like, we could do this. I've done it already. We could do it.
And the counselor knew, too. That was him knocking on the door.
That's why. I'm like, and it kills me every time I think about that. To me, that's so sad that she just knew that and took me out like a whole separate way. Like, she didn't open that door. Like, I wonder what was happening on that side. Was he like, "Hey, open the door. Yeah. Like, someone open this door. I decided I don't want to do this," you know? Yeah. But... yeah, that happened. And then after that, I was dead inside. Got pregnant again. Had another surgical abortion. Didn't care about nothing in the world. Got pregnant again. Different people. And the same stories. Different people, same story.
And how far was the furthest you were along in one of the abortions?
That's a good question. Because I feel like I always went in the first trimester.
Oh, okay.
One of them, the last abortion that I had, I actually saw the baby come out. Yeah, so the Lord opened.
And it was a
my eyes.
surgical abortion. You
This
saw the
one
baby
was the medical abortion.
Oh, so you passed the
So
baby through.
I already, so my third abortion was a medical abortion as well. So I understood and knew, like, I take the pill there. They say it stops the process. You go home and your body will just expel everything and then you flush, you know, and you be happy. So I go home. This is the third abortion. My body expels and I see it. It is a sac. Beautiful, perfect, like circle sack, baby inside, whole sack on the outside. Wow. But at that time, I'm cold-hearted. I don't care about nothing. You can't really see the baby in there. You just see this perfect ball of flesh, you know, like skin that my body just threw out. I'm pretty sure I just flushed and moved on with my life. Fourth abortion, I'm already older, and this was September. That's what this is. So I wanted to write the date here, but I feel like it would be too painful. So this was the month of September when this baby passed away. And 2011, yes, 2011. So different guy, same story. I can't have a kid with you. You have nothing going for yourself. At this point, I already have 2 kids now.
Oh, okay.
So I have she's probably like 9 years old here and maybe a 2-year-old at the time, 2 girls. And so I'm really just like, I'm a mess. I'm a complete mess. I tried going back to church. I'm like, I want to do this right. But then I go back to the streets. Then I get pregnant. I'm just like, oh my gosh, right? But at this point, I'm like, look, you know, like we can do this. No need to have an abortion. But this guy was really same story. So, but my brother and his wife, I kind of sought counsel from them because I'm like, look, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have another abortion, but I don't want to have this baby either. And my aunt was my brother's wife, who can no longer have kids.
Did she adopt?
She wanted to so bad, and that breaks my heart so bad. She was like, please, Des, please don't kill this baby. She was like, please, can I have the baby? Please give the baby to me and your brother. Like, we want kids, please, Des. And I was so cold. Then she tells the pastor of this church, I show up on a Sunday service because in a weird way, I am seeking some kind of counsel. I'm trying to get out of it, but I don't know what I'm looking for. Like, because I have the guy in my ear, like, hurry up. Like, what are you waiting for? We need to get this done. And then I have my brother's wife, like, please don't do this. And then I show up at the church and the pastor preaches my story. And then I get furious because I'm like,
who told him?
Yeah, I lost it at that church. I lost it. He's like, you know who you are. Abortion, like, that's a sin. It's wicked. You're evil. You're doing the wrong thing. You need to make a wise decision. Like, but that cost me out the door. Like, that did not make me feel like, for some reason, that just total opposite. I go downstairs, found my sister-in-law, and I start yelling at her in front of everyone. I was crying. I'm like, you told him. And she's like, they separate us. They just separate us. They kick me out. I'm out of the church now. I go back and I'm furious. I'm like, let's do it. Whatever. You want to kill whatever. I don't care. At this point, I don't care. I really don't. So we go to this abortion clinic, Planned Parenthood, yet again. And I think this one was downtown. I don't know if it's LaSalle, downtown. We're in there, but this time it is so different. It's so different because before I would just move along with all the coldness. You know, the first one I had all the feels, but that died. Second one, no feels. Third one, no feels. Fourth one, I'm feeling heavy, like a heavy presence. Like, I'm feeling like the Lord has literally had up to here with me. And it was crazy. Like, this fear was overcoming me. And I'm sitting there in the room and, I'm on that bed and the guy's sitting right there. And then a guy doctor comes in and he's like, here's the pill. Take the pill. And I'm so scared because I legit feel like the Lord has told me, you do this,
It's over.
I am turning my face from you. And I'm like, so I'm literally like looking at him, and he's like, come on. And the doctor's like, take the pill. And I'm looking at him, he's like, what are you waiting for? The doctor's like, the pill's right here. And I'm just like, and so much pressure, gave in, put this dumb pill in my mouth. Put the pill in my mouth. They give me the 4 pills to take home. The dude gets in the car, puts me in the car, is very happy, never going to talk to me again, never saw me again, never said anything to me. Didn't even ask how the abortion went, nothing. Doesn't even know if I'm alive. Dropped me off home. At this point, I have a roommate. I brought this girl in from the church. She had nowhere to go, so she's there but doesn't know what I'm going through. And I sit down on the couch. She's on the couch. She's studying. She's going to Bible college, and I'm just there. And I put these 2 pills, 4 pills really, 2 here, 2 here, and I'm letting them dissolve like they said. And they say to wear a pad. I put the pad on. I'm there. All of a sudden, I feel this pain, contractions, because I've given birth before, So I'm feeling contractions, and I'm I think it's coming, I don't tell her anything, and I go to the bathroom, and I pull down my underwear, and I literally delivered a baby.
Wow.
I delivered this baby. It was the baby was this big, laying fetal position. I saw the little tiny limbs, little arm, little everything. There was a tiny umbilical cord.
Wow.
Tiny. It was this big, so small. And the baby's heart was still beating. Oh, that killed me. Yeah, that was a lot. Yeah, I screamed.
Mm-hmm.
She ran in, fell to her knees right there. She starts weeping uncontrollably. I'm literally looking at this baby, and I'm telling this baby I'm sorry. It's crazy because it's I feel like God allowed me to go through that to see what I was doing, because it was so easy to follow what everyone else was saying, It just stops the process. It's not a baby. It'll just go out. You'll never see it. You'll never know. But I feel like the Lord allowed me to see that, to know that it was, in fact, a precious life there, So I'm like this, and I'm just crying. I'm I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. How do I save you? I'm how do I save you? How do I save you? What can I do? What can I do? And I'm crying, and she's crying. We're both crying, and I see that baby's heart just begin to, because the whole chest at that moment, it just looked like this big red part on the chest. The skin was all pink, and then there's this chest, the red, the bump is like this. And it starts to go slower and slower and slower until the baby passes away. And then I ran to the room, and I threw myself in the bed, and I screamed. I just screamed and screamed and screamed. And I asked the Lord, I'm if by any chance at all, I'm you can tell that baby that I'm sorry. Any chance at all, you can tell that baby that I'm sorry. I'm please do, please. And then I just feel at that moment, the Lord let me know that baby was with him. And I saw a picture like that, so I put that there to remind me. Yeah, some heavy stuff. And after that, that precious life was lost, and then I almost lost my own life because of that abortion didn't go as planned, the way Planned Parenthood wanted it to be. And they make you sign a waiver there that if you happen to die, they are not held liable for anything. So I remember calling them, and I'm look, I am bleeding uncontrollably. It's been months already. And I'm and they're it's fine, you're going to be bleeding. I'm so I hang up the phone, and I'm something is wrong. I feel so weak. I'm sorry. This is sad. And I get emotional because obviously I went through it. Yeah, I'm healed because there is forgiveness. If anyone is listening to this and you feel that you are having a hard time forgiving yourself, I just want you to know that there is forgiveness. There is forgiveness. You reach out to Jesus, because his blood covers all sins, and that is something that is not too ugly or too evil to be covered by the blood and love of Christ. There is forgiveness for that sin, and you just have to learn to also forgive yourself, which is one of the hard things that I learned.
Amen.
That had to be done. So, where was I? So yeah, I'm feeling weak. I'm laying in a bed now. I have both of my daughters next to me, and I can't even sneeze. If I sneeze, blood just pours out.
Wow.
And they keep telling me it's normal, so I have no idea. I cough, blood. Stand up, blood. Like any type of pressure. Sit down, blood. Like it just keeps pouring out. The bed, soaked in blood. It was insane. And I remember during this last night, I had these pains in my back that felt like super sharp. It felt like I was being stabbed in my lower back, and I started getting a fever. And I get out of the room, and my daughters are laying there. And I go and I lay on the couch, and I just said, man, I'm like, I feel like I'm dying. But obviously I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
So I didn't take myself too serious. I called someone that lived by Midway. Mind you, I'm on Desiree and Kedzie. Yeah.
That's the same street Metro Phrase is, you know.
Yeah, they're on Desiree and Long. This is way before. Yeah. So I'm in this apartment, and this person's all the way by Midway, and I randomly just call them. I don't know who's gonna answer this phone call. It's like 2 a.m, and all I said was, I was shaking up, but I was like, man, I feel like I'm dying. And they were like, I'm coming, and I'm like, no, I'm kidding. I think I'm fine. I just think I'm like, I think I don't feel good. I don't know what's happening with me. I don't feel good. And we hung up the phone. And, like, I don't know how long it took them, but they were, like, ringing the doorbell. The person came with, like, a parent. Or I think it was his aunt. And she drove him. And he's like, you have to come downstairs now because I woke up my aunt to drive me here to pick you up. So now we're taking you to the hospital.
Wow.
You can't say no.
Yeah.
And so my brother lived close there. So his wife and my brother come grab the kids. And I go to the hospital. And this was St. Elizabeth's or St. Mary's, one of the two. And I go there, and I had to pee in a cup, and my urine was all like purple.
Wow.
It was dark purple. And I went back to the stretcher. The lady's like, oh my gosh, like, you're lucky to be alive. She's like, your body's going to toxic shock. Yeah.
Toxic shock.
And I feel like dead already. I'm just like I don't even know what's happening. And so I get rushed into the ambulance into another hospital, and they did an emergency surgery. So I found out that what happened was when I delivered the baby, the placenta and everything else stayed inside, and it was rotting inside me, and my uterus stayed open. So I had an infection. It was going through my bloodstream, and it was the nurse said that had I not come in, she's like, within those hours in that morning, she's like, you would have died.
Wow.
Yeah, she's like, you would have been dead on that couch.
Wow.
Like, and I think about stuff like that too. Yeah, and it brings me to tears because I'm like, oh my gosh, like the amount of times I could have lost my life. But at that moment, like my children waking up to, Mom, get up now, Mom, what are you doing? And me laying dead on a couch. Like, so yeah, I spent the week at the hospital. My brother with my kids, and they cleaned me out. They did a DNC, removed everything, and was flushing my system. Yeah, it was very intense.
Wow.
So, anything you want to say?
So,
like I've been rambling.
No, I really appreciate your honesty. From there, how long is Metro Praise the church you end up coming to the Lord at?
So I ended up going back still to that same church that I was in and out of from the age of 8. Unfortunately, I feel like it was too tainted already.
Yeah.
Because even walking through there, now it's 2013, right? I'm deciding like this is it. I'm done with my life. I've screwed it all up. Like I've literally tried it on my own. I kept going away from God, and everything that I've done, everything that I've touched, everything is just falling apart. Like I'm a mess. Like in that same time of my life, like I was allowing guys to come into my apartment, even with the kids there, and to cook rocks like on the stove, bagging them, like all these things. Like, and I'm just like, I'm done. Like, who are you? Like, who did you allow yourself to become? Like, this was not who God called you to be.